Welcome to my channel. This video here, we're going to take a look at hypnosis and the subconscious mind and why the subconscious mind rules most of our activity. Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay. We'd love to see you back. False. The conscious mind has a great purpose. For many different things, responding to emergency situations, getting to work on time. However, the subconscious mind is really what drives us, what motivates us, what directs us on our path in life. And so when you find that people are having a challenge in their life, it's because their subconscious mind has a different message. And that message can come in so many different ways. And we'll talk more about that. It's mysterious, this subconscious mind. And that's something that I really love about it. And we have this battle. I call this the conscious mind battle. It's the conscious mind that thinks it's the boss. And it doesn't necessarily help us to achieve our goals. And you're going to learn that, even when I present to you some of the case studies, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are always, they're at odds when something's not working in somebody's life. So let's go into who are your clients. Now, maybe you're in practice already. Maybe you're thinking about starting a practice. But your clients are people that you're actually already working with. They're people who have goals, and somehow they sabotage their own success. And that goes back to the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. If you think about the conscious mind made a decision, and that decision could be something like, I want to succeed, I want to earn X amount of dollars, I want to stop smoking, whatever that thing is. And the subconscious mind is not programmed for that same goal. And that's where we come in. Now, what you typically find is that the people who end up coming for hypnosis are people who will come in and tell you that they have tried everything else and it hasn't worked. They have gone to the medical profession. They have tried, this medication or that medication. They've had this test or that test. And for some reason, they're still struggling. And that's when people typically turn to hypnosis. And they'll walk in and say, do you think hypnosis would work for? And that's a pretty general question. And typically I want to sit down with somebody and get a little more into detail. So what are the challenges they typically present? Hypnosis is a great addition. I want to talk a little bit about that. Or a standalone tool for any challenge. So I want to talk about a couple of different case studies and the different aspects of addressing each particular challenge, or what it really comes down to is addressing each person so that you have an understanding of how I actually apply it. And you can apply it in any practice. It doesn't have to be something that is called hypnosis. I am a polarity practitioner, a digestive analysis, and I can use hypnosis in any of these other modalities. What it comes down to is we want to start breaking it down because it's going to fall into one of these three places, whether it be physical, emotional, or behavioral. The focus of any practitioner is to listen deeply, ask the right questions, and address each of these areas. And emotional can often be tied into the past. So there's really the skill of listening. The physical can show up as a limitation, a pain, addiction, performance, and it can tie into other challenges as well. And then we have the emotional. I just happen to love this picture. The emotional may present as somebody who's working on controlling anger. They may have misdirected anger, sadness, depression, just lack of joy in their life. And this may also relate to a physical addiction. So, what we're doing is in our intake, we're determining what is the origin of this particular challenge. I tell you, I love this picture as well. This is where we get into the behavioral. And this kid reminds me of, the other part of ourselves that sometimes we want to accomplish a goal, and the other part is like, kind of like got this screw you attitude. And this kid has that right here. It's just adorable. So behaviors are learned, or better yet, programmed into our minds early on. And whatever is repeated to us, whether it's an action, a gesture that holds some sort of meaning, or an observation, over time, it is something that we take in, and it becomes us. It becomes a behavior. So, not necessarily that it is us, but it is a behavior. And when people get into their adult life, they recognize that this behavior no longer serves whatever's going on in their life now. And that behavior can be anything from, getting home from school. This is pretty common. You know, doesn't happen so much today, but back in the day, mothers may be home and baking, and a kid comes home from school and they're greeted with a nice warm apple pie. And now, as an adult, this person is coming for hypnosis because they want to change their eating patterns. And then we can go back in. Yes, this is a behavior, but it's also stems from something emotional. And it's when food was love. In other words, I missed you. So glad you're home. And let me show you how much I love you with this warm baked apple pie, which sounds really good right now. So let's go into a couple of case studies. And I just want to stress this a little bit. In all of my teaching, regardless of the program that I'm teaching, the most important part of the session is the intake. And this is where we are going to determine what we're addressing. So whether it's the physical, the emotional, or behavioral. And this way as you're going through your hypnosis, to change somebody's subconscious mind or to get a different message programmed in, how to address it. So case study one, as I go through case studies, I will typically, if it's a very, I don't want to say this, I'm going to change their name, and I may actually change very slightly the challenge that the person actually came in with. Now, client one came into me, referred by someone else, and they were dealing with an inability to speak. Now, this person came in, that I'll name Bob in the moment, after 6 months of going to all kinds of doctors, a long, very long list of medications, and none of it worked. And the person looked at me and said, saying that they said. So they also really couldn't speak. So I'm going to just say I got the message, and I can't give too much detail, that, can you help? And, I never really know what the outcome is going to be when I go to work with somebody. And I think it's wrong to say I absolutely can't help you, because a great deal of that depends on the client. It also depends on where is it. So with this particular challenge, one of the things that we can rule out is that it was not medical. And if it was, they were not finding what the challenge was. So there was something that I would, and what I did is I looked at the emotional aspect of this. There was something emotionally going on, and that's what I had to get to. And during the hypnosis, addressing the emotional aspect, at the end of that hour, the person's challenge was gone. And that not only amazed them, but I actually found myself a little bit amazed. A little bit. I could tell during the hypnosis session that it was going to shift. And at the end of it, it absolutely shifted, and the person just, they just couldn't even believe it. They just didn't even know what to do with themselves. So that was extremely rewarding. Now we get into some of them that are a little more common. Client two. This one came in with an addiction, and the addiction was to candy. Now, interestingly enough, there are many people that are addicted to candy or sugar. This person, it was, in particular, it was candy. And the person was in her early 30s. And no matter what, just could not resist candy. And so, I ask myself all the time, is this physical? Is this emotional? Or is this behavioral? And we could say in this case that it could be all of these. It could be that there is a physical sugar addiction. It could also be that it's related to the emotions. And also, it became a behavior. So, what I looked at is I looked at this as, who really eats candy? Now, little kids love to eat candy. They, um, are usually rewarded with candy. It's not something that's, well, in most households, it's not around for kids to just go eat candy anytime they choose. So typically it becomes a reward. And this person was using candy as a reward. So it was a behavior that had come from a young child and was still there in the 30s. And the way that I worked with that is I brought to the person's awareness that in a different way, but that children actually eat candy. And as an adult, this behavior no longer served. And what happened is at the end, well, I'm going to say at the end of the session, this person never ate candy. Now, I knew that because this person did not need to come back for more sessions. And I also learned that the person did release candy and they were free from it. So that's fabulous in 1 hour. When you think about how long people actually struggle with certain behaviors. And the last one that I want to talk about today is weight loss. There are so many people working with losing weight, and the way that I like to address weight loss is more about changing the way people take care of their bodies, the way that they nourish their body, bringing more of an awareness to their body. And so I'm going to talk about weight loss in general, and also talk about one client that stands out in my mind that was just so determined to lose weight that this person came to group hypnosis weekly for about 8 weeks. And every week, this person lost weight. And it was just absolutely amazing. So she was really inspirational to the rest of the group. Now, why do some people lose weight and others don't? Some people, the idea of losing weight sounds great. However, they're not actually committed to losing weight. So there's some emotional and behavioral challenges going on there. And other people have developed these eating habits, as a young child. And I talked about that previously, even talking about candy, is that they develop these challenges early on. And so their eating patterns are still the same. And until somebody can change a pattern, something from the past, we're not going to have different results. So some people will be successful and others will not. Some people will even say, I tried hypnosis, it didn't work. And, that one's always interesting to me because hypnosis itself works when clients actually do their homework. And there's homework for clients to be doing. Now, there are other clients that I've worked with, and I've seen people that they just love chocolate and they won't release it. And they'll come week after week, and almost as if there's a part of them that is proud of themselves, right? For the fact that they continue to eat chocolate, even though they're going through a weight loss program. They continue the same behaviors and come in and actually announce it.